A lot of y'all out there be calling yourselves anarcho-capitalists, but maybe not quite so good with the capitalists-nesses. Today we're going to begin fixing that. Let's get into it. He has a plan, she has a plan, and you get to pay for it regardless.
The best way to get someone motivated is to stand for something strongly, deeply, passionately.
Subscribe to Disenthrall.
Do as you're told.
Greetings, monocle-wielding individuals. Today, I am Patrick Smith, and welcome back to Disenthrall. Grab your top hats and your monocles and your cigars and your whiskey. For today, we will be going on a learning, teaching adventure into Capitalism 101. Some basics that I think everybody needs to know about how to manage their money. And to help me do that is somebody that's been helping a lot of other people do that. Somebody you might have recognized. Kaysen, what's up? Welcome to the show.
I grabbed my monocle. You told me to, and I have to do what Patrick says. That's how voluntarism works, isn't it?
You must obey. You must obey.
That's right.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing fabulous tonight. How are you?
Good. Okay.
Good.
So here's why we're doing the show. Because, hold on, I'm trying to get this. My cigar is falling apart as I cut it. That is never a good way to begin a cigar.
Here, I'll get my gold. We'll be all the things tonight.
All right. So here's what it is. I have managed the finances of two of my personal companies. I have created annual budgets. So that's kind of when you roughly lot out money for the course of a year that you expect to have. And then I've managed the accounting, which is always backwards facing. It's like, what happened? You know, what has already occurred? What money has already left the bank? And recently, Kaysen talked to me about a process that he's been using, along with a tool set that he's been using, to take your outlook on your money and shift that to the future. And I was surprised about how useful it's been so far. And so, of course, the first thing I needed to do is share the information with all you guys. So that's why I've asked Kaysen here to do it, to teach us all how to money better as anarcho-capitalists. So I kind of want to let Kaysen drive because I think he's taught many people about this so far. So the show is yours, man.
Okay.
You got to do the intro,
150 people. Oh.
You got to do the intro. Start with like greetings, blah, blah, blah. I will be Kaysen.
Greetings, monocled human beings. I will be Kaysen Bryden, and this is Disenthrall, Capitalism 101, How to Build a Budget. Now, before we get straight into the how to build a budget, let's just zoom out. And before we do that, you better buckle your seatbelts because we're going to draw a really painful analogy to driving a car. So let's say you lived in the glorious Fort Worth, Texas, and you wanted to go to Washington, D.C. to make fun of the Federal Reserve. You would need a couple things. You would need a vehicle to take you there. You would need to have a rough intuition that you're going to need to go east instead of west. It sounds like you're lighting up, Patrick. I can hear you.
Busted. Sorry.
Busted him. Whoa. That's an interesting little lighting device you got there. That's pretty nifty.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't have anything that cool. I just have like $1,000 worth of gold. It's so small, but it's so valuable. Okay. So anywho, so you need a bit of intuition. Like if you're trying to go to Washington, D.C. and you plug in Washington into your GPS, you would need intuition to know that you're going east, not west. Because if your GPS tells you to go west, you've been fooled because you're going to Washington State, not Washington, D.C. And you can't make fun of the Federal Reserve there, at least not to their face, okay? So this is an important analogy that is going to be painfully drawn out to conclude with the idea that the computer is only as smart as you are. So please, please, please don't do the things that people do by going, can I just automate everything? Can I just have the computer tell me what to do? That's like a communist, like utopianist type thing where it's like the computer will tell me what to do. The computer will tell me how to spend my money. You are the only person who can determine what your money ought to do for you. I may say the word money, I mean currency. I understand money is a store of value and currency is not. So let's just start with that. Does that make sense to you, Patrick? We need to outsmart the computer.
I got a little lost in that analogy. I'm an engineer, so I'm very like, look, we have this resource that needs to be allocated in an intelligent way. And I think most people, what they do is they cash their paycheck, it fills in their bank account, and then they just say, oh, here's a bill, pay it. Oh, here's another bill, pay it. Oh, here's another bill.
Make it rain.
Man, the balance on this account's starting to get a little low. I'm getting a little worried. I better start spending less and maybe eat out less. So like all the eating out and then the relaxation and the entertainment happens at the beginning of the month. And by the end of the month, buttholes are clenched extremely tightly. and so I think that's how most people see it. So sorry if I interrupted your analogy, but that's what I'm thinking about. Like, tell us how we can relax our buttholes, Kason.
Okay, so to relax the butthole, there are 2 steps. Number 1, you have to have resources sufficient to live on. Okay, right? Like you can't do this. Oh man, how do I follow that? This is just going to be a hard segue.
I'm sorry I did that to you.
I just don't even know what to do. Like here, I'm just going to. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for this.
No, really. So, yeah, we get tension. We don't plan ahead with the money. We always think in the present, we think in the past, right? So
yeah, that's so interesting.
I totally derailed you, so I apologize.
No. Now I'm going to rail us. I'm going to rail us so back onto the painful analogy. Brace yourself. I mean, unclench your butthole first, but we're going to rail. Anyway, as I was saying.
Tell me what to do with my butthole.
I thought you wanted me to tell you that.
You wanted a late night show. Here we are.
From you right now.
Go ahead.
The late show, everybody.
Yeah.
Now, so to draw like the whole idea of like we look to now and we look to the past is imagine you're driving a car with only rear view mirrors. Like that would make driving exceedingly difficult. And if you only drove by looking 1 foot in front of your vehicle, that would also be exceedingly difficult. It really helps to look through the windshield and look down the highway and see what obstacles are coming your way, to see should you decelerate because there's a very large hill that looks quite frightening, or should you accelerate to try to pass somebody. Like you can make these smaller decisions on your journey from point A to point B, but you can't just look in the rear view all the time. So most budgeting type systems, like if you were to go online and type budget Excel spreadsheet or something like that, is going to have something like this. What did you used to spend on this category, like rent, groceries, electricity, whatever your utilities are? And then they'd say, go and spend that next month. So you can only make the future be a repeat of the past. Well, that kind of sucks whenever it comes to a growth and self-development standpoint. That kind of sucks whenever it comes to growing a business standpoint. That kind of just sucks. So there's a set of tools out there called YNAB. Now, YNAB is a very technical term. It's spelled Y-N-A-B. It stands for You Need a Budget. And I don't disagree with them. So let me kick off a little screen share here for you, my friend, to show this to you. Screen share. There we go. We should be able to see my screen. Is that true, Patrick?
Yes, I can see it.
Fabulous.
Fabulous. Get off of light mode, though. That's disgusting.
Well, so I wanted to show you the most important feature of this. Whenever you first create an account, which obviously the account should be called subscribe to Disenthrall at voluntary one. You can figure that out for yourself. The first thing you do is you hit this droppy down arrow. I just created this one, and you go to display options. And under display options, you choose the dark theme. Isn't that nicer on your eyes? So much nicer, right? Good. Now, whenever you start it up, there's going to be a whole bunch of different categories that they pre-propagate into there, but there's 2 things that you really need. It's called a category group. One is bills that you know about. These are the things that you know about. Things like, I don't know, rent. Okay, well, what do you spend on rent? Well, you might say, I spend $1,000. We'll make the numbers really easy. $1,000 on rent. This is called making a target, by the way. And then it says, hey, you need to save $1,000 to pay the rent. Now, I'm going to refer to a couple different rules. So I'm going to pop this one early. If you end up going to wealthbattle.com/budget, it'll take you to this handy dandy sheet where, in fact, you can watch a presentation on how to do this yourself, which is what I'm going to go through right now. And there are 4 rules of you need a budget. Rule 1 is to give every dollar a job. We're going to be talking about that and what that means. And rule 2 is to embrace your true expenses. The other 2, that's for another time. But rule 1 and rule 2 is all we're going to cover today. So give every dollar a job. Well, that implies you have some dollars under your control. So on the left side of YNAB, you can add an account. So I have a cash account here. Let's say that I have $2,000 in cash that I'm working with. Keep these numbers really simple. Okay, so what that does is that says, hey, you have $2,000 that are lazy bums and they're in the unemployment line because they don't have any jobs. And whenever dollars don't have jobs, that brings a tear to my eye. We don't want that to happen. What we want to do is we want to give them the job of paying the rent, which we could type in $1,000. But that's what plebs do. Typing in 4 keystrokes? No, we're not plebs. We're smarts. What we're going to do is we're going to click on the little lightning bolt on the right side where it says auto assign. Remember that sweet goal that I set, $1,000 by the end of the month? We're going to click underfunded and wha-bam! It pulls $1,000 out of ready to assign at the tippy top. And it brings it down to the assigned column of rent. So imagine this. Let's see if I can safely take my screen away. Maybe I can? I don't know. There we go. Cool. So imagine this for just a moment. Let's imagine that you had a series of envelopes. This is actually where it came from. If you're familiar with the envelope method of budgeting, this is the digital creation of that. If you're unfamiliar with that, I'm going to explain it in excruciating detail now. Back in the day, when people usually used greenbacks to do things, people were looking for a simple way to budget their dollars. And they came up with a brilliant system involving envelopes. They would take their money in cash and paper currency, and they would write on an envelope, rent. And they would shove the amount of dollars that they need to pay rent into that envelope. And then they would close it, and they would set it to the side. Then they would write groceries on the next thing, shove in the amount of dollars that they thought that they needed for groceries, shove it into that envelope, close it, and set it aside. Rinse and repeat until all of your dollars are out of your wallet and into these envelopes. No joke, this was a thing. The envelope method of accounting, big in the 80s, apparently. I don't know. I didn't exist. What's up, Patrick? I see you just popped back in.
No, I'm just having a good time.
Okay, good. So these people, these absolute freaks of nature, did this. And what that allowed them to do, that if they were going to overspend on something, as people are one to do, which involves their buttholes becoming clenched, as Patrick so poetically prosed that upon our primordial brains. I couldn't come up with a P for brain, but whatever. That gave kind of a framework to work within, and it made you immediately feel the responsibility of like, oh, I'm spending too much money on clothes, or I'm spending too much money on groceries. I'm going to have to grab another envelope and pull money out of that, and that's going to lead to a shortfall. So it clearly signaled there's a problem. Does that make sense to you, Patrick?
Yeah. Can I try and restate in different words?
Yeah, I like it when you do that. Yes.
Maybe with some some anatomy. No, I'm just kidding.
Now I'm feeling all hot and bothered. Go on.
Oh, ooh, woo. Okay, so thinking back to that web page you had open, right? So at the top you have like your total expected amount that you're going to put into your account for the month, right? And then
it's the amount of dollars you have control of right now.
And so the
this
idea,
amount of dollars under your control right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So like undo that. Yeah. Put 0 there. There you go. So we know most people know typically about what they make every month, and it's really good to see that up front. Now, the whole cool idea here is that rather than like spending your money almost post facto, like as the bills come in, the money goes out. This tool allows you to plan ahead a little bit. And to see the future a little bit, and just seeing the future a little bit allows you to make better decisions with your money and also relax the butthole. Because like what happens is, you're going to have 30 items on this list if you actually use this tool. This is just a good, simple example, right? But yeah, groceries. You typically spend, let's say $500 a month on groceries, just to make this simple, right? So you put a budget line item in here for $500. Now, at the beginning of the month, you can come in here and assign those dollars like he did. So like, yeah, there you go. Boom. So now you see at the top, you have $500 left over. And if you think about it in the future tense, that you actually have $500 from the beginning of the month. Even before you've necessarily written the checks to pay these bills or to buy these groceries, you know how much money you have future tense to work with. And that allows you to say, oh, wow, only $500? Man, maybe I should buy less Coca-Cola or, I don't know, sweets and sugars at the groceries. Maybe I can shave off $50 for my grocery bill or whatever and put that and free that money up for something else, for example. Anyway, so it allows you to see the future and pre-plan so that you're less sort of caught in a lurch at the end of every month. Hopefully that was a better, I won't say better, but hopefully that maybe made it clear to some people that were getting lost, right? So it's a tool that allows you to plan your money into the future multiple months. So like, you don't necessarily have to do this, but if you're going to have $2,000 a month income, you can go out into the future and assign these dollars out into the future and know like how long you're good for, how much money you have. And also, well, I don't want to overload people, so I'll kick it back over to you. But I just loved the ability to see the future in a way, and that's what budgeting does. And this is a fantastic tool for seeing where you're going to be at the end of the month, at the beginning of the month, and also as the month progresses, you're modifying this, right? Like, something came up, you realized you were out of pens in the home office, so you went and bought some extra pens. Well, you'll add a line item in there and assign money to it out of the budget. And if you don't have any available funds, you can move it from something else, or account for that in a monthly fashion and say, wow, I tend to buy a box of pens. This is a stupid example, but I tend to buy a box of pens once every 3 months. And so I can now put a line item that has me saving for my pen purchases. And anyway, I'm probably going way too deep for what I'm just excited about the tool.
No.
And so I'm rambling on ahead.
All of that.
Okay,
go ahead. We have to hit all of that because it's so important. Okay. So here's the deal, my friends. A lot of the people that we talk to, they get the anarcho. They get the you own yourself, you lead yourself. They have trouble with the capitalism part because capitalism requires capital occasionally to operate. So let me show you some cool things here.
And it also requires training. You can't you're not a capitalist by default. You have to know what to do with money. You have to know how to put your money to work for you. Otherwise it will quickly leave you.
Flex those sweet, sweet muscles, my friends. So let's pretend for a moment that these are all of our expenses. We have rent, we have utilities, we have groceries. Now, here's the deal. Well, let's throw in one more. Let's throw in fuel for a vehicle. Let's assume that I have a car that I'm driving around to and from work, and I'm spending $150 a month on fuel. Okay, so that leaves $100 left over for us to do something with. Now, I could, as Patrick was saying, I could go into April and I could say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and tuck $100 away for April's rent. And now all of my money is assigned because rule number 1 is give every dollar a job. Cool. We've met the win condition. There's a check mark here. I don't know why the UI is gray. This should be a big green hooray with like confetti flying across the screen because by golly, we gave every dollar a job. Now, rule 2 is to embrace your true expenses. The example I like to use for this is holiday gift giving. For some reason, we're going to go back to March. I'm going to pull this $100 out of April, so we have $100 to work with. So, for some reason, people get surprised by the holidays. They show up, and they're like, oh, crap, I need money to do the things that I thought I wanted to do for the people in my life that I like. So what this allows you to do, you could just like shove money in arbitrarily, sure. But what this allows you to do, you click on Target, create Holiday Gift Giving Target. You change the needed for spending. Instead of monthly, you say, I need this by, let's say, December 1st. And I need, let's say I need $300 there. And you know what? I want that to happen every 1 year. So I don't have to think about this in the future. So we're telling kind of the computer, like a GPS in a car, where do we want to go? Well, I want to go where I can give some holiday gifts. And it does the math. Hey, there's 10 months between right now and December the 1st. And I want $300. So it's going to do the math. And it's going to say, hey, assign $30 this month to stay on track. Now, this is a super stretchy part of the brain. If your brain can fully grok this, if you fully grok this, you will, something magical is about to happen. So embrace your true expenses is not just, okay, now it's just $30 a month. Nay, my friend. What if you have a rough month and you don't have that $30 left over? What if you put in zero? Well, this is a true expense. It's not due in the month of March. What happens if we go to April? Assign $33.34? Whoa. So let's just break that down as far as what just happened. So you have a goal, and that goal isn't due, like it doesn't have to hit your wallet right now in this month. So what you can do is you can tell the software, you could do this on pen and paper, by the way, but you could tell the software and say, hey, I want to have X amount of dollars by this date. It calculates number of months, amount that you've currently saved, which in my case was 0, goal that I want to get to, which is currently 300, and the number of months, which is 10. And it just divides out the outstanding balance, which is 300. 300 minus 0 is 0. And then it divides by 10, the number of months, which comes up with 30. Okay, cool. The reason why that matters is a lot of our lives are now on autopilot as far as billing. There are annual subscriptions to the entertainment things that people peruse on the internets. There are annual subscriptions to things like Jeff bringing you all the things whenever you click a button. There are things that you can't predict. Things like, oh, I'm going to need new tires someday. I don't know when, but someday. There are these things that we know are going to show up in our lives. We know they are going to cost currencies, and for some reason, we don't plan for them. Now, I'm using the royal we. I'm now going to delineate. You are now beyond that because you have the brain power and the smarts to go, yeah, my car is a mechanical thing. It's going to wear, and there's going to be repairs in the future. So let's see what that might look like. So here's the screen share again. Let's go back into March. Hey, you know what? Holiday gift giving? Yeah, we can do that. No problem. We all get that. We're going to add a whole new one. We're going to call this car maintenance. Car maintenance. Oh, no. That's how you spell it. Thank you. All right. Car maintenance. So what we do is we create a target. Now, we don't know what it's going to cost, but what we could do is say, hey, you know what? Mathematically, I'm going to have $70 a month to build up a little savings. So I'm going to go and change it from needed for spending to a monthly savings builder. And I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to throw $40 a month at this. So every month I get $40 closer to paying for whatever the X is in the future, whatever that car maintenance is. So next month, whenever I make that savings, 40 plus 40, hey, that's 80. Oh no, you notice now it's red because I've given too many dollars jobs. So before I talk about that, Patrick, my guy, what are you getting out of this? What are you hearing out of this?
I was thinking down about something that literally happened today. And I was so happy that I had this tool for that purpose. My wife, so when I've had 2 rounds of kids. My first round of kids that I had, everything in my home got destroyed. So, like, that's what kids do. They mess things up, especially your furniture. And so I learned my lesson. In my second round of kids, I said, okay, from the time these kids are born, we're not going to buy any new furniture until the kids are like 10 years old. Because that's about the time when they stop accidentally destroying stuff and spilling food everywhere. Mostly, let's say. And so we're coming up on that time. And my wife was like, man, our couch is just disgusting at this point. It's just ruined. I want to buy a new couch. And I was like, I know how to plan for that now. And so I said, okay, let's figure out how much we want to spend on a couch, which is not how most people usually do it. That's a change from how most people usually do it. Most people say, oh yeah, we need a couch, let's go shopping. And then you go to the store and you find one that you're in love with, and you find out that it's $500 more than what you plan to spend, but you don't really have money for it, so you throw it on a credit card, and blah, 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 and it just never turns out well, right? And so what we did because I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking in the future, not the past. I said, okay, we need a new couch. It's not an immediate need. We can sit on this pile of shit that we have for a while. So let's decide how much we want to spend.
The padding is so flat, so flat.
And so we're like, okay, well, we've decided that we want to buy a used couch because the kids aren't quite old enough yet, so we don't want to buy nice stuff yet. So we're like, okay, $400-ish for a used couch is going to get us something that'll last us another few years. So I come into YNAB and I create a line item that says, I want to buy a couch that I expect to cost about $400 in 3 months. And now it gives me a plan, a monthly plan that is adjustable, that's flexible if things come up, like Kason was talking about. And all I have to do is just assign money to that envelope every month. And 3 months from now, it'll turn green. I'll have my money and I'll be like, here, wife, here's the cash. Go buy a nice couch up to this amount of money that you have. And she goes and does it. And our marriage is happy and we have our asses hurt less. That is how grown-ups handle their money. And that's something that public schools didn't really teach us about, how to do that. That's how wealthy people handle their money. There's more advanced things we can get into later, but that was what was coming to mind as you were describing what you were describing. So hopefully that helped you. Yeah.
In the vein of declenching the butt, let's add that to our demo here. In fact, let's go get that couch. Let's do this together. So true expenses, new couches or coaches, new couches. Oh yeah. You said $400 in 3 months, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll do 400 by, well, not April, not May. We'll go June. We'll say June 15th. Save target. Hey.
There you go.
I'm starting at no, I'm off by a month. There we go. Back in May. Yeah, because we're still in March. There we go. $133 a month. I was like, that's not right. Now here's the thing. In our hypothetical example here, where all I have is $2,000, if I budgeted $133.34, oh no, I've overspent. Not even overspent. I've over allocated my dollars. I've created a government jobs program where there are too few jobs for these dollars to work, so I need to make some things up on the books. Or I can just take that $30, sign it, hit the win condition, and then I go out into the world and I go work my agorist job, as I'm only dealing in cash right now, and I go do a job. Payee is my job. You know what? This is how you track everything, by the way. So there's two sides to this. Let me just take one moment to describe that. So the budget is like your intention. I will spend up to or less than the available amount in a given category at any given time. So I will spend up to or less than $1,000 for rent. I'll spend up to or less than $500 on groceries for the month of March. Then there's another side of this, which is where you're actually messing with the transaction ledger. So if you go out and you go earn some money.
Let me interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. Let me interrupt really quick.
Bring it on. Bring it on.
So what he's looking at right now, this is like a fake account, right? He just created one called Cash, and he manually put $2,000 into it. But this syncs up with your bank account. And so you can manually enter transactions that you know are going to happen, or you can just wait until it syncs up with your bank account and you have actual transactions happening. The other thing I wanted to mention was what's happening here. So let's stay in the first month. We're still in the first month in our brains, right? We're looking at our budget. And, we've assigned all of our money to everything. And the number at the top says 0. So we know that all of our money has been put to work. Now, a lot of people are thinking, hold on. Like, I don't want to zero my fucking account out every month. That's not my goal, right? So that's the first thing I want Kason to address. But the thing I want to say before that is that what's cool about future planning, looking into the future, is that we know how much money we have available to assign a task. But like our bank account still says $200. Like if we go and log into our bank and we look at our ledger, our bank says, hey, you've got $2,000 in your account. But we know what we're doing with that money. We've planned ahead for it and we know how much we have and where it's assigned and where it's going. There's so much power and efficacy in controlling your money into the future like this. Okay, so Kason, if you could just kind of address that thing that I just brought up. Like most people don't want to zero their effing accounts out every month. So what would you say to that before we kind of move on 100%. To future months?
100%, 100%. Okay, so first off, the only account we're dealing with is cash, so that one would not auto-import. And we're not actually spending all the cash. What we're doing is we are setting an intention. We are setting an intention out of that $2,000 in cash that I am in possession of right now. I am going to spend $1,000 on rent. I am going to spend $250 or less on utilities. I'm going to spend $500 or less on groceries. I am going to make my values in the world the way that I want to show up in the world. I will write that down in such a way that I can refer back to it. So I do all the thinking, and I go, okay, I have thought about what I want to do, how I want to show up in the world. I'm going to notate that. So I notate it, I put it in front of me. And then whenever I'm out in the world and I'm at the grocery store and I go, do I want to buy all the groceries, or maybe I just buy a week at a time? Because you know what? If I bought all of them, maybe I'd go over 500. A better example would be something like holiday gift giving or clothing or something that's a little bit more discretionary than food, right? But it's something that can actually curb my behavior and help me generate a long-term plan rather than just scrambling from day to day like, I'm out of money, now I got to go make more money, or I don't have enough money, where am I going to come up with the money? That's not a strong position. That makes you really subject to kind of whatever the overlords put out into the world. You're just kind of screwed. That's not a very resilient position to be sitting in. So what Patrick was saying around the idea of people don't want to zero out things. So inside YNAB, you have given all of the dollars an intention. But here's the beauty. Who controls the intention? Why, you do, friend. You can change your mind at any point and say, you know what? I actually don't care about holiday gift giving to the tune of $30, but instead $20. And I'm going to put $10 more towards the new couch. Bam! My intention is now made concrete in reality, which will then reflect my actions. And if my actions don't reflect that, I have a mechanism by which I can reconcile my principles and my actions together post hoc.
And the other thing I wanted to mention is that not all the items on this list should be debts or payouts. You should be paying yourself too and saving money. So you can add items in here that take up money that you assign to yourself. You pay yourself. And what happens to that money? Well, you can get into advanced things, but if you did it at a basic level, it would stay in your bank account. Like, it would be a number in your account. The number at the top of the page would stay zero, but like your savings buffer that you added as a line item could grow each month. Does that make sense? Why don't you talk about that a little bit? Or can you?
Yeah,
Am I totally screwing up your flow? I'm sorry. I know that you. Okay, good.
No, this is all good because these are things that pop up because I talk about this a lot and people always have questions about whatever's important to them. And that's the beauty of capitalism. You can have free choice and talk about whatever's important to you. So if somebody said, man, I don't feel comfortable saying that I'm going to spend every dollar that I have on living and I want to have savings. Well, hot diggity dog, my friend, emergency savings. Maybe that emergency saving needs to have like a whole month worth of income for you. But hot diggity dog, you don't have that whole month of income saved right now. You don't physically have it. So maybe you don't save up for the car maintenance. Maybe you don't save for the holiday gift giving. Maybe you don't save for the couches. You know, you got to cover these. So that, to me, means you need to go make $1,900 or more in the month of March. So really what you could do is say, hey, I'm going to put $100 in savings, and then I'm going to go work. Go do work. Add transaction. Payee, job. Job pays you. You know what? Whenever they pay you, that's an inflow. Did some work. Inflow, you know what? Got another $2,000. Bam.
This would be like your paycheck.
$2,000. Yeah, your paycheck.
I don't think most people work ad hoc as much as you do, right? I think most people have like first and 15th checks that arrive.
Full disclosure, I have a small business and I can generate additional revenue if I put in more time. And if I'm set on revenue, then I can back off a little bit and take more time. So for me, that's how my life works. But if you work on the 1st and the 15th, or if you get every 2 weeks, or however your life is structured, it would be similar, just the pay frequency may be different, right? Because you have to wait for a little bit longer. Side note, I wonder what you could do to be able to generate more revenue on demand when you need to, but that's probably a conversation for another day. So let's go back into this here. So let's say you go and you work, and that's actually like your paycheck. Your paycheck cleared on the 4th, which I guess that would mean that this whole thing started probably a couple weeks ago on like the 18th. There we go. There's your every 2 week paycheck, the 18th and the 4th. All right. So now you have $2,000 more ready to assign. Well, for you, maybe emergency savings needs to be $2,000, which I just bumped it from 100 to 2,000. And we could put, we could put some money into car maintenance. We could put some money into holiday gift giving. We could put $30 towards the new couches. And here's the thing: we can do a quick checksum here. You have $4,000 in your wallet or in your vault or however you hold your dollars. $4,000 in cash, and assigned to bills that you know about, you have $1,900. And assigned to true expenses, these are the things that you don't know necessarily when they're going to pop up, but you know that they're coming. $2,100. 2,100 plus 1,900 is 4,000. So you have not zeroed out your physical wallet. Your wallet is still full. You're just, and this is literally a term, you are YNAB broke. YNAB broke means that you have sufficiently scheduled all of your dollars and when you think they're going to go out. Like sometimes my wife and I will look at the budget and we're like, oh, God, I feel so broke. But it's like, no, we're set for like 3 months. But at the same time, like, man, I don't have discretionary spending. I mean, I do, but the value of having that runway whenever revenue is unpredictable is really important to us. Does that land for you, Patrick?
Yeah, it does. I want to speed run a couple of the comments here. ANCAP Gamer, good to see you. He asked, what software is this? Check the description. There's a link, an affiliate link if you want to help the channel. You can create an account at You Need a Budget and get going there. I think that's Kaysen's affiliate link. So I figured we use his affiliate link because he's the one helping us. So you're helping Kaysen in exchange for his time teaching us today. So definitely use that link in the description. Somebody asked if they could donate ETH. We don't have an ETH address, but if you contact me directly, I can get you one. I think we have BTC, BCH, and XMR on the Disenthrall.me support page. You're welcome to go check that out and contact me if you don't have options there. But if you send a crypto donation, you have to contact me and give me the transaction ID or something like that. Otherwise, I won't be able to attribute it to you or give you special supporter access on the website or fancy roles on Discord. You got to contact me and let me know. I have sometimes people just send crypto and I have no idea who they are. I mean, it's fine if you want to do it anonymously, but there's that. Let's see. How does 20% inflation go into that? And I think that is an incredibly salient point for what happens if you are if you're a successful person that pulls in enough income where you don't have enough to assign it to every month. And I think that's worth talking about. I don't know if it's worth it now. I'll leave it up to you, Kaysen, when we get to it. But at some point we should talk about, like, if you have more income than you spend and that number at the top of the page stays green, what do? What should you be doing as a intelligent capitalist? So, yeah,
sure.
How about those things?
Sure. Okay. So here's a concept, like the value of a bottle of water versus a diamond. I think you may have heard of this, Patrick. So the idea is, most people, if you say what's more valuable, a bottle of water or a diamond, most people would say what, Patrick?
Diamond,
because it's jewelry. It's worth a whole bunch of money. But hot diggity dog, if you go out into the desert and you're dying of thirst and you have 50 diamonds in your pocket and somebody walks along with a water bottle and says, hey, I'll sell you a water bottle, and you go, all I have is diamonds, they might say, yeah, I'll trade you a water bottle for a diamond, and you might do it because you would prefer the water. It has greater utility to you in the moment than the diamonds do. Now, in the same way, storing liquid capital on hand has some marginal use to you. And the beauty of capitalism, the beauty of voluntarism, the beauty of life is that you are the only one who can decide how much is enough. How much runway do you need? For me, 60 to 90 days is kind of a sweet spot because I know my business cycle is about every 30 days. So I could have 2, maybe 3 bad business cycles. And I mean like bad business cycles before I really run into a problem. For another person, they might say, I get paid every 2 weeks. My job is very steady, very secure. So if I have a month and a half, if I have like 3 paychecks, I'm good. Other people might be in the gig economy and their income and expenses are all over the place. And they may say, hot diggity dog, I need a lot of runway. I need like 4 months worth of consistent revenue or something like that. That's so they can take some time off and not be, what was the word, clenching the butthole all the time?
Tight buttholing, yes.
Yes, to avoid that.
Yes, to avoid the tightness of the butthole.
Correct. So that's the thing. If inflation, if you think that's a big problem for you holding liquid capital, maybe there's a strategy around that. Maybe you could find some hard assets that historically are able to outperform inflation. Maybe gold's your thing, maybe crypto's your thing, maybe real estate's your thing, maybe a small business is your thing. Whatever your thing is, that's your business, and it ain't the government's and it ain't mine, right? That's kind of the point. So if you look at these numbers and you go, I have way too much in liquid. I'm holding too much liquid capital, spendable currency, right? To get out of financial jargon. Maybe it's time for you to divest from traditional currency. Maybe it's time to go into something else. But only you can make that decision. I'm just going to give you my biased opinion. I'm not a financial CFP, CFA, CPA, none of those. There are things that you could look at in your life that you are probably a subject matter expert in or could become a subject matter expert in. For me, it's video productions. I saw that I had a fair amount of liquid hanging out, and I saw a local business that was going out of business, and they had like 40 is too many, 30 cameras or so, all the same model, Sony 1-inch sensor, stuff that I use and that I can use in my business and generate cash flow with. And I just said, how much for all the cameras? Give me your best price, like for all of them. And they gave me a price, and it was a fair price for a bulk discount. So I deliquified my portfolio and bought a whole bunch of cameras that then cash flowed, right? But that's just something that I can do because that's what I know. Patrick may know something in the IT sphere that he's very comfortable with outside of traditional buy gold, buy crypto, buy real estate. Like those are kind of paths that many people have trodden, so the margins may not be as good as one might expect. It may be great, but it may not be as good as one might expect.
Well, and this, I mean, I'm treading a line here between, like, I want to make this very approachable for people that are new to budgeting entirely, that aren't running a business. You know, they're just a normal average person with a day job. They get paid 1st and 15th, or even they're on a fixed income for some reason, and they need to learn budgeting. I want to keep this approachable for them, but I also, maybe we have you back to really go into the advanced stuff and all the kinds of cool options you can have as a business owner, because it really gets deep, and it's a really useful road to go down to manage your resources better in significant ways. And this tool on the advanced end, not to distract from our process, but there's things you can do to significantly manage your money better, to pay a lot less taxes, or to be extorted a lot less. And this can help you do all this stuff. You can add all your bank accounts. You can have multiple budgets in here and transfer money between the budgets and have different budgets for companies and accounts. And anyway, so this is a very deep hole, and I want to keep it shallow today. So for the normal person, right? Because if we're all better capitalists, then we'll all be more successful. We'll all be more secure when the hard times come that we know are coming. Uh-oh, he's whipping out paint.
Dark mode paint. It's got a black background, baby.
Perfect. And the more secure we are, the more successful we are. Here, I'll make you big. The better we're going to be able to change the world and exist in the world and reach more people. People are going to listen to you more if you're successful. People are going to care about what you do and think more, and your principled positions on things like the non-aggression principle and you know, everything. They're going to care more about what you think the more successful you are. There's a million reasons to be successful outside of just you yourself personally. Not having butthole clenches at the end of every month. Okay, sorry, go ahead. I was kind of rambling there, but yeah.
How darest thou do that on thine own channel? Now, in a perfect, well, maybe not a perfect world, maybe in a boring world, you have every single day, instead of getting paid every 2 weeks, you get paid every single day, and you have the same amount of revenue come in every single day. You make that money. And then you have your expenses, and your expenses never change, and they're always less than your revenue. So that means you have some little wiggle room. You have a little bit of margin. You have a little bit of capital accumulation happening here. But this is not what life looks like for people. This is silly because this never, ever, ever happens. What really does happen is it goes something like this. You make a little bit of revenue. Oh, actually, sorry, wrong way. A sawtooth. You make some revenue, and you spend some money on expenses. You make your next paycheck, and it goes. It's kind of this sawtooth kind of vibe. And then your expenses, they kind of reach up, kind of like you were talking at the start of the month, and you spend, and then you make some money so you can spend more. Yeah. Oh no, I'm running out of money. Oh God, I should spend less. Oh, I made more. Now I can go out and get a burger. Oh God, I'm running out of money. But then all of a sudden, your car gets shredded because you drive through a construction zone on the highway that they've been working on for ages, and they blow out your tire, and all of a sudden your expenses jump up really high. And that's a problem. Unless your revenue does that as well, but most people don't, they haven't set themselves up in that way where they can crank up their revenue. So what can we do? Well, we know at some point something big is coming. We don't know when, but we know something big in our life is coming. It could be soon. It could be far away. We don't know. But what we can do is say, hey, whatever the difference is here, I can go ask for a raise and maybe make a little bit more money. Or I can be disciplined in my spending and spend a little bit less money each month to create a bit of a gap. And that gap, we take that and we say, hey, we're going to take some of that and we're going to save it for a rainy day. We're going to embrace those true expenses. We're going to save it up. So whenever we hit that big expense, we pull from that pool. Now, what that might look like in actual numbers rather than conceptually would be something like emergency savings. Okay, so we have emergency savings here. We have $2,000 budgeted. So let's go live our life. Let's go pay rent. So we're going to go back into our account. We're going to add a transaction. We're going to pay the landlord. Apparently he's a cash-based landlord. He's probably super happy with that. And this is an outflow. Outflow is something that flows out of your wallet. Inflow is something that flows into your wallet. Paid the landlord. He is happy. Memo is just for you to know what did you do, why did you do it. So then if we go look in the budget, it says, hey, you assigned $1,000 for rent in the month of March. And you know what? You spent $1,000 for rent in the month of March. Whenever you subtract those two values, you come up with $0 available. Let's do one more example with something that maybe you don't use all of it at once, which is groceries. So we save $500. Let's say we go to the grocery store. We go and we buy some groceries. And that is the groceries budget. And we bought, maybe this was our meat run, some produce, but we forgot milk. We'll come back for that later. I forgot about it and I only remembered it right at checkout. And we spent $150. So this is the crazy part. This is the thing that rocks people's world. You assigned or intended to spend $500 or less for the purpose of groceries in the month of March. You spent $150 currently in only one transaction to buy meat and produce. It was $150. Whenever you subtract those two numbers, you come up with $350. Well, what happens whenever you go back out again? Let's go get the milk. Maybe some other things as well. Bills that I know about. Groceries. Let's spend $50. Let's pick up some milk, some dairy, some eggs, whatever it was that we missed the first time around. Party on, Wayne. So you intended to spend $500 or less. You spent $200, so now you have $300 remaining. You could make it to the end of the month and have money left over and go, hey, you know what? I have enough groceries now because I know that supply chains are fickle and I should have, a bit of a food store on hand. And that food store is about to go bad, so I'm going to buy cans next month. But for this month, I'm going to tap into that supply. I know I don't need to spend that $300 on groceries now. I'm going to go move that $300 and I'm going to go fill up the new couch budget to make my wife happy. Hey, honey, I got good news for you. You can go pick up a couch that's $330 less today. You know what? Next month, I'm going to put $35 in it. And the next month, $35, and we'll have all $400 by May. Was that too quick? Was that magic trick too quick for you, Patrick, or was that perfectly timed?
I think it was good. Can we go back one time? I want to talk about something. Yes. Go back to the first month. What was our first month on here? Was it March?
March. Yep, March.
Okay. Let's say we had $500 budgeted for groceries. Let's say that we actually only spent $450. So let's modify whatever the transaction was on groceries. So like we went to the grocery store, and for whatever reason, we bought one less bag of Cheerios or something. We ended up spending only $450 on groceries this month. What I love about this and what's powerful about this is that your budget carries over into the future. So this month, March finishes, we've still got $50 in the budget. So we have a choice, right? So next month, boom, we're in April now, right? We already have $50 in the grocery budget from last month. So if we needed to bring it back up to $500, we would only need $450 this month into the grocery budget to make it fully sort of funded. Am I describing this accurately, Kaysen? Is that correct? Is that how this is functioning?
You are correct. Currently, my spending targets are not set up to reflect that because I say 500 every month, no matter what. Always have 500 going in, but there is a way to make it reflect that. Yes.
Okay. All right. So the month to month like carryovers for things is really, really cool. So I guess my question then to you, Kaysen, is so last month in March, we had this set up as you did. We have $50 extra, and then we go forward into April. Where is that $50 showing us right now? Because it's not up in all the money's still assigned up top. Where does that come from? Like, okay. So,
absolutely. So let's go look at March first to make sure that we're understanding what's in March, and then it'll become super clear in April. So in March, we've assigned 500. We spent 450 at the grocery store, and we have a leftover of 50, the available amount. Available is created by assigned, which you type in, activity, which you log, equals the remaining available. That available rolls over. That available also includes any previous positive available months or any previous negative available months. So we'll see that there's 50 right there still in the budget. In fact, there's 250 still in utilities because I never actually spent the utilities amount. Right? So we saved 250 for utilities, we spent nothing, there's 250. 150 for fuel, spent nothing, 150. You'll notice that all those numbers carry over into the next month.
Okay, so how do you handle that with this system then?
Yeah, so there's several ways you could do it. The way I prefer to is to close the month, kind of like an accountant might. So at the end of the month, I prefer to go in and zero out my accounts. Let's just put some transactions in to cover out groceries, utilities, and fuel, because those are things that are all variable. So we're going to pay the utility companies, and let's say that it comes out to $230 instead of $250. And we're going to buy some fuel from the gas station. And let's say we only bought $75 worth of fuel because we already had a full tank at the start of the month. Okay, so we have 50, 20, and 75 left over, which is 145. Quick addition going on up here at the top. So what I prefer to do, I sit down with my wife and we say, hey, what do we need these dollars to do? Are we overspent somewhere? Okay, maybe we bought some, like here's one scenario and then I'll undo it and then we'll go into this. So if we overspent, let's say we had a car maintenance that popped up. So mechanic, that'd be car maintenance. You know what? It was actually $135. We didn't know it, but there was a belt that was squeaking and now we're overspent. Okay, where am I going to fix this problem? Well, I could fix it by pulling some from groceries. I could fix this by pulling some from utilities. And I could fix this by pulling the remainder from fuel. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So that's one scenario. But let's say that I didn't have an overspend. So I'm going to go undo all of that. There is a handy dandy undo thing here.
And guys, feel free to ask questions. And you know what? Like, I'm kind of like thinking if people are interested in the show, let me know if you are interested in this type of show in the comments. We can do more of these and we can even make it a call-in style where you guys can call in and we can talk through things.
Oh, yeah. The question that sounds fun. Okay, so don't threaten me with a good time there, buddy. Now, at the end of the month, how I prefer to handle it is I want to take out whatever these remainders are. Like, I'm confident that I'm not going to spend any more on groceries for the rest of the month. So I'm going to move $50 to ready to assign. And I just move that money back up to the top. Ready to assign. And ready to assign. Now, there are shortcuts for all of this. So for those of you who are like, that's way too long doing 3 clicks. Okay, fine. It reset available amounts to 0. And does it all at once. Okay, this auto assign tab is for like the advanced users. So that then gives me 145, which, hey, you know what? I needed 103.34 to hit that couch target that me and the missus were talking about. right? So now we're on track. I'm confident that even though that this is saying, hey, you're not fully funded, I'm smarter than the computer because I know that I'm not going to spend any more on groceries or utilities or fuel because I know more than the computer does. The computer can only reflect the values that I give it. So now with my 4166 and change, I'm going to go into April and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get a jump start on rent, 4166. And next time I get paid, I'll start filling out the rest of it. In fact, I can even predict how much money do I need to make in the month. Patrick, if you had to take a gander or a guess, a wild guess, how much do you think this person needs to make to fill out the rest of the month?
$2,245.
It is $2,061.67.
What? Hold on. What did I do wrong? Oh, I added the 41 in the top right. That's what I did. Okay. I did that wrong. Yeah. I was looking at the wrong numbers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you can very quickly highlight everything and go, how much do I need to fill up April? You can even get into like forecasting of how many dollars do you need to make if you're a small business owner or if you're commission based or if you're in the gig economy, which I know a lot of people involved in like, Uber type businesses where they can turn it on or turn it off and make more if they need it. You could literally just hit underfunded. Okay, I need to make $2,061 to finish off April, and I'm going to go into May. Hey, you know what? To finish off May, I'm going to need $4,165 to do April and May. So there's ways to
so slow down, undo that, and go slower so people can see what you did because I think that's important.
Yeah, sure.
So we started in April, and we assigned all the money to all the budgets for that month.
Yeah. Yep. So right now, all of our money is assigned.
Yeah, okay.
And we're going to make YNAB do something that it is not designed to do because we know how to work the system. We're going to highlight everything and we're going to hit underfunded. And all the underfunded button does is it just says, hey, how short are you to make it a specific target? So like rent at 1,000. Well, we're off by 958. Underfunded. Yeah, there's 958. All that's doing is it's doing it on all of them simultaneously. $2,000. Does that make sense?
Yep. So
cool.
Because we haven't entered any income for this month yet, that's how much the month is going to cost. And then we can go straight into the next month. But this also works like, let's say you had savings, like you had a balance in your account of, let's just say your starting balance for this whole today demo was 10 grand, right? So like change the starting balance.
As you wish. 10,000. Which there's 10,000 plus a payment from the job at 2,000, so 12,000 in total.
Yeah, so we have money in our account, and if we didn't have to work April, we would know this immediately, and we could go into May and assign all the money and realize, hey, we don't technically need to make any money in May either. I'm not saying that's a good idea for you. I'm just pointing out that you can then project all the way forward in time into July to see, okay, by July, I better have some income coming in. But until then...
You better have $105, though.
Yeah, but all my bills are paid. Like, being able to see into the future of your money. You know what it is? This is a calendar. And you know what pisses me off a lot, man? When people agree to meet with me, they agree to meet with me for dinner or a business meeting or something. And I put it in my calendar and I block out the time and I show up on time and they forgot about it. It's just so unprofessional. Like it's a disrespect of your time when you make an arrangement with people and they don't show, or they show up really late or something like that. What do we do? And so like if somebody asks you, man, I'm always missing these meetings, I want to stop doing that. What do I need to do to stop missing meetings? Well, you say, well, are you using a calendar? Because what does a calendar do? A calendar lets you block your time in the future. A calendar is a time budget. It's a tool for budgeting your time in the future. What?
Yes.
Do you like this?
Yes, it is.
You like where I'm going? You see where I'm going?
I am grokking.
Yes. So you can look at your future time budget, which is a calendar, and you can say, wow, Tuesday I've got nothing to do. I need to use that time wisely. Let me set up some time periods on that day to work. Or somebody wants to meet with you, so you block that out on your calendar. The calendar reminds you that you can look at next week and say, wow, next week is really busy. I'm fully allocated. I can't take another meeting. I can't do anything else. I'm full. And that's equivalent to that $0 amount at the top of this budget. Like it's the same thing as a calendar. And if you use a calendar for your time so that you handle your time wisely, you should also be using a budget for your money so that you handle your money wisely in the same exact way. It's the same principle. You're looking into the future and making sure that you're not over allocated and that you have enough. Rant over. Yeah.
I am pulling up a thing that I think you're going to really like then. I got you, boo. Now, I hadn't considered, I think I may have described that once upon a time as far as like budgeting. It's like, or calendars are like budgets for time. But I hadn't ever thought of YNAB as a calendar for money, because it kind of is whenever you boil it down. You can even plug in the exact date, like when is it due, that sort of thing. It doesn't have like a built-in forecasting functionality like what I just showed you, where it's like how far can you run. It's not really meant to do that, but you can totally squeeze it out of the computer and be like, tell me the answer, and it'll tell you true.
Here's another thing, and I did this today. I owe someone money. Okay, I made an obligation, and I owe them money, and we agreed on a repayment schedule between the two of us. Right? What pisses you off more with a friend when let's say you loan a friend money, and they agree to pay you back on a schedule and don't? That's the exact same. That's the analogy. That's the allegory to somebody not showing up to a meeting that you had agreed to show up to. It's like a breach of faith. It's irresponsibility, right? So now let's take that to money. You loan a friend money. They agree to pay you back by a certain time or in a certain amount each month until it's fully paid. And then they don't. They fuck off. They forget. They're irresponsible. They don't have a calendar, so they're not paying attention to what they're doing with their money. That's what this stuff is for. So let's go to YNAB, show them how you can it's like 5 clicks. You can create a loan account or something like that.
Yeah. Loaning out to a friend
So let's say that I loaned you $500 and you agreed to pay me back $100 a month until it was paid. So here we go. And it's so easy. So you just do this in 5 clicks.
I'll start it from the beginning. I'll do this from the beginning. So first we hit add account, and we're not going to link it to a bank account. And really, I don't recommend anybody link anything for the first 30 days. Do it all manually. Get your feet wet. Understand what's going on under the hood. Unlinked. This is a liability. And this is a loan from Patrick. In general, if you don't know what a liability or an asset puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. So loan from Patrick. Current account balance is $500, right?
Yep. I loaned you $500.
And I promised to pay you back $100 every month, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I should totally put that on my budget. I should say pay back to Patrick starting in March. Starting in March, or do we delay it at all?
I was gonna, the way I did it earlier today, I think was even easier than what you just did. Can we delete that and delete that account and let me verbally walk you through what I did?
Yeah, sure.
I think it's like delete that account, delete that loan account.
Oh, yep. I will delete it. It is deleted, sir.
All right, go back to the budget and add a new line item on the budget. New. Yep. And just call it loan from Patrick or something. Yep. You click and then click on it, and then on the right, click create loan from Patrick Target. And then in the needed for spending, change that to scroll down, monthly debt payment. And then monthly payment, $100, due every end of month. And then I think you can click that pair with a loan, or maybe I think you just pair with a loan. Like, yeah, click the little pair with
it like this.
You could do it like that, and you're done. You're done right there. But if you wanted to, then you click pair with a loan, and you can do the same thing you did earlier, where
with interest rates and monthly payment required by the lender. It gets into a whole amortization schedule. In fact,
you could, but when I did it, I just put interest rate 0, account balance 500, a monthly payment required 100, and then select the account type as personal loan. Yeah, next, and that's it. Boop. Now you have a new account on the left, and you got a little line that reminds you that you need to assign $100 to that person every month.
Yep.
And
in fact, I was creating it the other direction. You can go either way. You can add the account and then pair it with this, or you can create it from this and pair it with the account.
And now you don't miss your financial meetings anymore. You have a calendar. You know what's on. You don't forget about things. You're responsible with your time. You're respectful of your obligations. And as much as it pisses me off when somebody misses a meeting with me, how much more does it piss you off when somebody misses a financial obligation that they've made to you? Like it's way more of a hit to your personal credibility when you're not keeping your promises when money's involved, right? So as much as important as the calendar is, budgeting is 20 times more important, at least. So go ahead.
I will actually show you how this might show up in real life, right? So let's say you had some money to assign. I just went out to July and pulled all the money out of July because you know what? I'm okay with having a runway till June. Everything's funded through all of June. So let's go into March, and I'm going to put $100 to be ready to pay Patrick. And whenever I give him that cash, because he may say, "Hey, did you pay me?" I can look at my records and go, "Yeah, no, I didn't right now." But then I can go record a payment. Hey, you know what? I paid him $100 from the cash account. Payment number 1. We met at the street corner. It was a dark and stormy night. Right, so then, if he says, "Hey, did you pay me back?" "Yeah, I paid you $100. I paid you. We met at the street corner. It was a dark and stormy night. Do you remember that?" "Oh yeah, I remember that." "Okay, cool." Like we could track the payments so far. And in fact, if I gave him an extra payment, we could calculate like, hey, if I give him an extra $100, hey, that's going to pay it off a little bit sooner. And if he was charging interest, what's the interest savings? Like, there's a lot to this calculator. Okay.
Yep.
It's a deep little boy.
The important thing that I just wanted to get across was just that importance of this is a calendar for your money, and to be a responsible human, this is what responsible grown ass adults do with their money. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think there's something to talk about. So I actually do that. So I have a deal, in fact, structured with you and with Larkin Rose. We produce the Candles in the Dark seminar, which you can pick up at attendcandles.com for $75. And there's a revenue split involved. Somebody gets a chunk of this and somebody else gets a chunk of this. But here's the thing, only one person can run the credit card. And right now, that's the business that goes into my books. So I see the transaction come in. I run it through a little percentage calculator and I go, okay, this is going to this person and this is going to this person. So at the end of the month, I know who's going to get what, and it's not going to take my business sideways because I make sure that I take what is owed up front. Because the quickest way to shoot your credibility in business is to not keep those obligations and to not meet those obligations. Like, that's the quickest way to just burn the entire network. Kind of like showing up late to meetings all the time. Or not even just showing up late, but just not showing up at all. What a disgusting habit that might be, especially if it's like, yeah, we talked about this. We made agreements. We have contracts on this. Come on, man.
Yep. Okay, we have a question, and I think this is a good one, and we're at the appropriate time in the lesson. Do we pay taxes? So how would you use this tool to plan ahead for the Well, first of all, no one pays taxes. Taxes are extorted at gunpoint by the government. So how would you plan for the extortion that will likely happen to you each year using this tool?
All right. So let's talk about the tax code. What a fun thing.
Yay.
Now, if you are an employee, you have limited options as to what you can do to legally decrease your taxable liabilities. From what I hear, this is all hypothetical, of course. We're speaking hypothetically here, right? Okay,
this is Minecraft advice for spending the emeralds.
Yeah, if you're playing in Minecraft and you're trying to not spend the emeralds with the villagers, okay? If you're trying to keep it in your own Minecraft server, if you look into the villagers code, IRS code, you'll find that if you're an employee, you have very few deductions that you could take advantage of, but you can consult with a tax professional to find out what you could or couldn't take advantage of to decrease taxable liabilities in a legal sense. But if you have a business, if you have 1099 income, that would be contractor income, certain things open up to you, like hundreds of deductions, like a cell phone that is being used for business purposes is now a write-off. Equipment purchases, for like online show about things like anarchy. All of a sudden, those are all write-offs as well. Video production equipment, headsets, cameras, chairs, in fact, are also office expenditures. cool lighting in the background. I don't know anybody who might take advantage of these types of strategies, but if they had a substantial amount of revenue generated, they could keep it in liquid and go, hey, I guess I'll just shell out the tax at whatever the tax rate is. Or they can play smart and go, oh, there's rules within the book that allow me to own a chair and own a headset and own a camera and not pay tax on that and not submit to extortion. I think we all get the ANCAP, the AN side of that.
The analogy I use, sorry to interrupt you, Kason, is
go ahead.
It's a magic spell system. For anybody that's played like Dungeons and Dragons or any role-playing game, you know that there are complex systems of magic in those games. And every spell has its own incantation and its own reagents and requirements and limitations. And the people that are really good at Dungeons and Dragons will know all of that stuff inside and out, and they will be able to leverage their power a lot more in the games that they play. And so that's what I like. None of this is financial advice. Government, any government agencies listening, we're not giving financial advice here. We're giving Dungeons and Dragons or Minecraft advice, right? But like, what you're hearing Kason say is that every human, not every human, but most humans should probably have a business because it unlocks a magic spell class. It gives you a new spell book with all sorts of new spells that you can cast that will allow you to be more in control of the world around you, let's say, or at least in control of your Minecraft emeralds. Am I mixing analogies too much here? Maybe, I don't know.
There's a lot of mixed analogies going on, but I think the message is clear.
It's super easy to open and start a business entity. It's not difficult. It's not terribly expensive or time intensive, but it can save you a lot of money. It can save you a lot of money.
And if you're on Discord with us, we could talk hypothetically what might be able to be done in a biased and personal kind of sense, but that will not be on YouTube, at least not with my name on it. Now, I will say that I messaged my CPA, our certified public accountant. He's kind of a master wizard whenever it comes to these types of spells. And I said, hey, accountant, I leveraged my insert financial vehicle that I won't disclose on YouTube into purchasing equipment for the business in 2021. I know that purchases on other financial instrument I used is a write-off. Is the interest accrued against financial instrument 1 a valid business write-off? And he said, unfortunately, that is not. So then I put my thinking cap on and I said, I have a friend who has this same financial instrument. If they loaned me the money, could I then write off the interest? And he's like, absolutely. So like even things that like initially are no's, how do you turn it into a yes? Is there a way to jump through a certain hoop that it's just a little paper transaction or something like that?
Here's the important thing.
I need a loan.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Here's the important thing about magic. It's not real. Just like these rules, it's not based in reality. These aren't fundamental laws of physics that are in the IRS's books. They're magic spells. They're loose around the edges, and the people that know how to play the system, especially people like CPAs, can help you get in and out of this stuff. And part of the big thing is like, so even if you're just a normal guy with a 9-to-5 job, and if you have your own business, right, you have to buy a chair to sit in front of your computer anyway. Well, if you have to buy a fucking chair and a mouse and a keyboard anyway for your house anyway, if you just do that through your business entity, now you're getting extorted less every year. That's all you got to do is just account differently. Go ahead.
To clarify,
this is not financial advice.
The only reason we're picking up that chair and the quad monitor setup and the bad to the bones machine is all for business purposes. 100%.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Like 100%.
100%. Yep.
Unrelated, after this game, we're going to be playing Alien Swarm Reactive Drop if you want to log on to Discord. Anyway, unrelated, we'll be doing some gaming. But yeah, I mean, the compute power, the raw horsepower for video editing, naturally, do it for the YouTube.
Yep. Okay, so that was an important point to answer the question of do we pay taxes. But at the end of the day, a lot of people that make any sizable amount of money are going to get extorted. How can we use this tool for long-term annual planning of saving up a little bit of money each month to make sure that that spike in extortion at the end of the year isn't a butthole puckerer. Can you show us that real quick?
Totally. Okay, so let's talk a situation if you lived in, say, Fort Worth, Texas, and you paid property taxes every January. Let's pretend like these were your numbers for a moment. You have a true expense, and we just call that property extortion racket. And the property extortion racket, you think, they send you a letter about this, but you think it's going to be $6,000 by January 31st of 2023, and it's going to repeat until the revolution every year. Save the target. Now,
is there a repeat until Boogaloo checkbox? I didn't see that in there.
There will be a simulate Boogaloo option.
Oh.
Right. So in this case, it's $545 per month in order to comply with the rules. Now, here's the thing. You have the property extortion racket, but maybe you also have the income extortion racket. Maybe you have two different rackets, and for you, maybe that's something like, I don't know, $10,000, and that's going to be due in April. Well, let's pretend like we don't have that coming. Let's just assume that you've already saved for this year, but it's coming up in April of next year on the 15th. And that repeats every 1 year. Hey, that's $714 of cash flow. Oh, by the way, I've said the word cash flow, but I've not properly defined it. So I'm going to bust out MS Paint real quick. So cash flow is you make some revenues, you make some sales, you make some dollars from a job. You have money coming in, inflow. And let's say that is $1,000. And then you have some expenses, some outs, some costs of living, some business expenses, whatever it is. You have some expenses. Let's say that's $900. Let's say that takes place over the course of a month. 1 month. So whenever you subtract these out, you come up with $100 of cash flow per month. Cash flow is a rate, much like speed. It's the distance you traveled over time. It's the revenue you generated over a period of time. And you can technically think of it, to go back to the painful car analogy. In the car, you have a speedometer, as I like to say. And it's like, whoa, you're going super fast at 88 miles an hour to where you can go back to the future. And you also have a fuel gauge that is saying if you're full or empty. Let's say our fuel gauge was pointing about there. And you also have, if you're super fancy, one of those rev counters, the tachometer, I believe it's called, that's telling you how many revolutions per minute your engine is chugging away. You could imagine your current fuel gauge as something like savings, cash on hand, liquid. Things that can fuel you if all of a sudden you lost your income, you have a little bit of fuel left in the tank to keep on going. Your cash flow, your current cash flow, is more like your speed. So your speed is like cash flow. And your revs are like the thing that if it gets too high, you explode your engine. That's like your butthole pucker factor.
I knew it. I knew there was going to be a butthole meter.
So one of these is very subjective.
Doesn't feel subjective.
It doesn't feel that way, but one of them is subjective. The other two are mathematical constructs, and those are things that we can model inside of YNAB. Like how much fuel does this budget have? Well, this budget has fuel to pretty much make us into June. Even with the new income extortion racket and all that jazz. I'm actually going to fix the budget real quick. So I'm going to reset the assigned amounts to 0 and pull the money out of June. And I'm just going to go back and see if I can fill up everything that's MIA. We'll go all the way back to here. We'll fill that up. Bam, bam, bam. let's see. Reset the assigned amounts to 0. Okay, so I can make it to the end of May on this current budget. So that's like my fuel. So my fuel is somewhere like here-ish, my savings, my cash on hand, my liquid. And my cash flow is determined by how much money I'm making versus how much I'm spending, which, because that's a two-sided thing, I can either increase revenue or I can decrease expenses. It's like a balloon. You can kind of push on one side and the air just moves to the other side. So if it's like, I need more cash flow in order to pump up my savings. Okay, well, can you increase revenue? No. Can you control your expenses? No. In which case I go, what are you doing? Why don't you have any agency? Hopefully you say something like, yes, I can increase my revenue, even if it's a small amount. I can go pick up some Uber Eats orders and deliver them. Make $20 tonight. Oh, can you control your expenses? Why, yes, I can cancel Netflix for a month because I'm not addicted to screens at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Have I gone off the rails, Patrick?
No. That was a very useful graph. I just want to offer real quick. We probably only have time for like one of you. So if there's somebody out there that wants to call in, send me a message on Skype. My Skype name is Disenthrall Me, and we will DISENTHRALLME. You can send me a message on Skype. I will call you and bring you on the show, and you can ask questions or talk. Nothing that we say will be advice in any stretch of the imagination. We are spellcasters in Dungeons and Dragons.
Biased, opinionated nerds on the internet.
Do not listen to us, but if there's anybody out there that has questions or a specific situation or something like that in Minecraft, send me a message on Skype real quick and we'll bring you on. In the meantime, is there anything else that I wanted to shout out Phobia over on Odysee. He donated whatever you call the Odysee money. 50 of those. 50 of those
Yay.
Minecraft tokens. Thank you. LBC, whatever. And I forgot what they call it. It's not super chatting over on Odysee. It's like
library coins,
boosting. I don't know what it's called, man. But thank you, Phobia. I appreciate the donation. Hello.
Thank you for the digits.
Hello yourself. He says the hard part is preventing the government from destroying your business. Yeah. During COVID, that was a problem. Okay, so to you, Kason, is there anything else that you think is important for us to talk about with any of this today?
Totally. And totally. If you could please share my screen, full screen, please. Thank you, sir. Now, if you go to, this is a writer downer, wealthbattle.com. First off, this is a site that me and my buddy Lisa run. I actually met her at Narco Poco because I went with you, Patrick. That's where we met each other. And you go to wealthbattle.com/budget. We are on a mission to help put the cap into ANCAP. Wealthbattle.com/budget. You can actually schedule a time to make your budget overhauled with me. It costs you nothing. I know there's, ton stafba. There's no such thing as a free budgeting session. But I am bearing the cost of time and energy and whatnot. There's also some dope resources here, such as a 20-minute presentation on budgeting and how it be. A couple books that are pretty dope. Personal financial advice or business financial advice from people who do claim to be financial advisors and the like Profit First. And then there's the rules of YNAB, some frequently asked questions, that sort of thing. All that to say that if you haven't built a budget in your life, or if you've tried budgeting and gone, well, it just doesn't work for me. My life is too complicated. I can't figure out what's next in life, and I'm being pushed sideways by the government. Okay, maybe it's time to try a different strategy. Maybe it's time to, instead of driving, looking completely with the rear view mirrors, maybe it's time to look forward and, as Patrick says, calendar your money.
As Patrick says, stop clenching your butthole.
Relax into it.
Oh, man.
You're a soupy hot ninja with your spiky black hair.
All right, cool. So, guys, if you would like to see more of these shows, I really am inspired to, just in general, in life in general. Like I did a couple long ass videos on journaling with the bullet journal method. I've done, there's all kinds of tools and methodologies to improve your life out there. And I'm inspired to lift all of you ANCAPs up with me as we go. So if you like this type of video, please let me know in the comments. Tell me what topics you'd like to talk about. If it's more of this finance stuff, let us know. We'll do deep dives. We'll do call-in shows, whatever you guys think. We are, whoa.
I will show you.
Trying to get me to join the army? Because that's not happening.
This may be helpful. This may be helpful. No. It'll happen. Watch. Shoom. All right. So first off, wealth battle. Secondly, here are the 7 steps to escaping the rat race. The idea that you have to do things, that you have to go to work. 1, income. Generate income. Okay. Most people figure that part out. Step 2, budget. So you maximize what those dollars are doing. Step 3, build some kind of opportunity fund that you can make deals with and do a deal with. Step 4, build ascending cash flows. The A in Odysee. Step 5, reduce the amount of time that you're spending generating income, because selling your time is not the most efficient way to make currency. Step 6, if you absolutely must, speculate. If you absolutely must. And then step 7, escape the rat race, because it's not like a one and done kind of thing. It's kind of like the strategies have changed. What do I do now? I'm a landlord and my rentals are not allowed to be paid by the government. What do I do?
This is the worst acronym I've ever heard. Odysee?
Odysee, man. That's all I came up with. I don't know. I mean, I have other really bad acronyms on here. Here's some more bad ones. Oh, there we go. Bulletproof. Be your own bank. That's the best BYOB you'll ever see. Debt destroyer is not an acronym. It's just a framework for like how do you remove debt in life. And then an opportunity GPU. An opportunity fund should grow, protect, and allow you to use your funds simultaneously. Plug into the parallel processing power of whole life with a cash value, baby. Come on now. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that.
Odysee, motherfucker.
I'm clipping that.
No.
Yes, I am.
No, it's my intellectual property. You may not.
Hang on, let me quote the great Patrick Smith. You can intellectual property these nuts, bro.
All right,
the
guys.
great philosopher.
I think we're about done. So I guess my last word is be a grown up. Like, we did the bullet journal to teach you how to be a grown up with planning your day and getting your stuff done and being productive. And now we're getting into some of the finance stuff because you need to be a grown up with your money. And please use a calendar. Like, please, if you make an obligation to meet with somebody, keep the obligation. If you agree to pay somebody, pay the person. Grow up. Grow up. Let's be successful. Let's be adults about our money. And this is how you do it. It's really simple. It really doesn't, like, the first day, it was a little confusing just to figure out how to set up all the stuff. And I asked Kaysen for help a couple times, but I've been doing it for a little while now, and it's super easy now. And man, it feels good. Like, I see the number at the top and I realize, hey, I'm good for a while. It's good. It's useful. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it helps you. We have a couple more shows coming up. I'm looking forward to. Kaysen, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
My butthole is so clenched right now. I wish I had a solution.
Are you retarded? So I know you're not retarded, but what are you, Down syndrome?
And now we're banned. All right. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you later. Have a good one.